Hello everyone and welcome back to Kobean History. In today's video we will have a look at the history of Bologna and how it developed throughout the ages, from prehistory until the modern day. This ties into another video that will be released in a week or so, where we will visit some of the attractions in Bologna, as we went there at the end of last year. Bologna is situated on the edge of the Po Plain at the foot of the Apennine Mountains. Traces of human habitation in this area go back as far as the 3rd millennium BC, and by around the 9th century BC there were significant settlements of the Villanova culture. By around the 7th or 6th century BC, the influence of the nearby and expanding Etruscan civilization reached the area, and by the late 6th century BC, the Etruscan city of Felsina, which would later become Bologna, was founded, and Felsina became the capital of the Etruscan Po Valley territories. That is, until a Gaulish tribe invaded around the mid-4th century BC. These Gauls from the Boii tribe took over the city and renamed it Bononia. Bononia was later captured by the Romans in 196 BC, and Roman colonizers settled in the city 7 years later. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire, Bononia then became a frontier outpost of the Byzantine Exarchate of Ravenna, and was repeatedly sacked by the Gothic tribes. In 727 and 28, the city was sacked and captured by the Lombards, becoming part of that kingdom. Near the end of the 8th century, Charlemagne invaded the Lombard kingdom, causing its eventual demise, and Bologna was occupied by the Frankish troops in 774 on behalf of the papacy, remaining under imperial control and prospering as a frontier mark of the Carolingian Empire. Bologna was among the largest European cities by population in the Middle Ages, and it became famous for its towers, churches and lengthy porticos. In the 12th century, Bologna joined the Lombard League, which then defeated the armies of the Holy Roman Empire and established an effective autonomy in 1183. Subsequently, the town began to expand rapidly and it became one of the main commercial trade centers of northern Italy. A century later, Bologna was affected by political instability, when the most prominent families fought over control of the town. After decades of infighting, the Free Commune was severely weakened, allowing the Pope to impose the rule of his envoy Cardinal Bertin du Puget in 1327. After a few years, the people rebelled against the Cardinal, and Bologna became a Signoria in 1334. By the arrival of the Black Death in 1348, Bologna had its 40 to 50,000 inhabitants reduced to just 20 to 25 after the plague. In 1350, Bologna was conquered by Milan. However, a rebellion followed and Bologna was recuperated into the Papal States in 1363. In 1376, Bologna again revolted against the papal rule this time, and joined Florence in the unsuccessful War of the Eight Saints. However, extreme infighting inside the Holy See following the Western Schism prevented the papacy from restoring its domination over Bologna, and they remained relatively independent for some decades as an oligarchic republic. In 1401, Giovanni I Bentivoglio took power by a coup, with the support of Milan, but afterwards, having turned his back on Milan and allied with Florence instead, the Milanese marched on Bologna and had him killed the following year. In 1442, Hannibal I Bentivoglio, who was the nephew of Giovanni, recovered Bologna from the Milanese, only to be assassinated in a conspiracy plotted by Pope Eugene IV 3 years later. But by then the Signoria under the Bentivoglio family was firmly established, and the family remained in power for over half a century. They managed to resist the expansionist designs of Cesare Borgia for some time, but on the 7th of October 1506, Pope Julius II issued a bull disposing and excommunicating Bentivoglio. When the papal troops, along with a contingent sent by Louis XII of France, marched against Bologna, Bentivoglio and his family fled. Julius II entered the city triumphantly on the 10th of November, and this time the papacy remained in control for over 300 years. The period of papal rule over Bologna is generally seen as one of severe decline. However, this was not yet evident in the 1500s, and it was only towards the end of the century that the signs of decline began to manifest. And this wasn't helped by a series of plagues which also hit the city. In the mid-1700s, Pope Benedict XIV, who was originally from Bologna, tried to reverse the decline of the city with a series of reforms intended to stimulate the economy and promote the arts. However, these reforms only achieved mixed results. Papal rule ended when Napoleon entered Bologna in 1796. Napoleon briefly reinstated the ancient mode of government, giving power to the Senate. However, this Senate had to swear fealty to the short-lived Cispadane Republic created as a client state of the French Empire in 1796. However, in 1797 it was dissolved and it was succeeded by the Cisalpine Republic, and later by the Italian Republic, and then finally by the Kingdom of Italy. After the fall of Napoleon, the Congress of Vienna of 1815 restored Bologna to the Papal States. But papal rule was contested in an uprising in 1831. Bologna, along with some other surrounding provinces, planned to unite, but they didn't succeed as the uprising was put down only a few months later. By the mid-1840s, unemployment levels were very high and traditional industries continued to decline or even disappear. The papal census of 1841 reported 10,000 permanent beggars and another 30,000 who lived in poverty, and this is out of a total population of 70,000. Papal rule finally ended in the aftermath of the Second War of Italian Independence, and in 1860 Bologna voted to join the new Kingdom of Italy. Afterwards, Bologna once again started to thrive economically and socially. Thanks for watching this video on the history of Bologna. If you're interested in having a look inside the actual city and seeing some of the landmarks, you can check out my other video I did on Bologna. Or if you're interested in history as a whole, you can check out my channel to find a wider variety of topics. I want to thank my patrons for their support, and especially my $15 patrons G. David and Parker Dye.